In the top stories, government announces date for payment of bonus salary. Haiti's hospitals overwhelmed from oil tanker explosion, and the FBI investigates after a woman falls overboard on a cruise ship. Hello and welcome to the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Today is Wednesday, the 15th of December 2021. I'm Jason Davis. Nationally, the bonus salary for all civil servants, government auxiliary workers, pensioners and step workers across St. Kitts and Nevis will be paid on Tuesday, December 21 instead of the 15th as previously stated on Tuesday. The new date still falls in line with the initial intention to ensure that the bonus is paid before Christmas Day. A release by the NIA explaining the reason for the delay said, quote, "Please note that the salary date for the month of December 2021 is set for Wednesday, 15th December, and it is customary for the amounts payable for salaries to be submitted to the bank at least 48 hours before the salary due date so as to allow the banking system sufficient time to credit the salary payments to the accounts of all employees," end quote. It continued, "Given the timing, it will not be possible to put the necessary mechanisms in place at the Treasury Department and at the various commercial banks to execute this payment of the bonus salary by Wednesday, 15th December 2021, end quote. During the budget address, Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris encouraged all civil servants, auxiliary employees, step workers, and pensioners to spend wisely and save as much as possible. Authorities in St. Kitts and Nevis are introducing a new app that will help to enhance the management of COVID-19. The app, which is designed for contact tracing of COVID-19 cases, is under development and nearing completion, according to Prime Minister Harris on Tuesday while presenting the Appropriation Bill 2022.
Work is also very advanced and nearing completion on a contact tracing application to facilitate the case management of individuals affected by COVID-19. This becomes important because we have moved over time from attempting to isolate people, for example, at OTI, to allowing persons with COVID-19 to isolate in their own home. The tracking system will become critically important.
Prime Minister Harris said that risks from the deadly virus will continue to be carefully managed, particularly as the Federation eases public health and safety restrictions and more visitors arrive on the island. Meanwhile, CIBC First Caribbean is warning its clients to be wary of fraudsters pretending to be staff members carrying out a survey on behalf of the bank in St. Kitts. The actions were confirmed by acting country head Starlina Rosary, who is quoted as saying, "It has come to our attention that unauthorized individuals alleging to be employees of CIBC First Caribbean have been requesting valuable information from our clients through a survey. We wish to alert members of the public that this is an ongoing scam," end quote. She said there is some information that the bank would never ask of its clients. She said, quote, "The bank will never ask its clients to provide their social security number, ATM or debit card PIN, or any other sensitive information through an email, survey, phone call, text message, or social media," end quote. Persons are strongly advised to ignore persons who request their information through any survey or otherwise, and to contact the branch to verify any request. We now move to news on the regional scene. Haiti's Prime Minister has announced 3 days of national mourning after a gas tanker exploded, killing more than 60 people. And with an overwhelmed hospital in the coastal city of Cap-Haitien, that number could rise. Al Jazeera's Gillian Wolfe reports.
One by one, victims of Monday's gas explosion are loaded onto trucks as onlookers watch in shock. There's little comfort for this mother who weeps at the loss of her child. White sheets cover the victims as they lay sprawled across the street. Some too badly burned to be identified.
I heard a loud noise around midnight. I asked one of my boys, "What is it about?" He said it was a large truck filled with gasoline. Right away, I left the place with my family and went the other way to the bridge. That's all I can say.
A truck carrying gasoline overturned Monday, exploding into a fireball and engulfing cars and homes in its path. Pedestrians reportedly rushed to the scene, collecting spilled gas as the country suffers from a severe fuel shortage.
I received many calls informing me about the fire and immediately sent the firefighters and police an alert so they could intervene. Unfortunately, many people died. But I want to congratulate our first responders because they put their lives at risk to control the fire and prevent any further deaths.
On Monday, Prime Minister Ariel Henry expressed his condolences, declaring 3 days of national mourning. With the local hospital stretched thin, he has deployed field hospitals to the area. It is the latest tragedy in a country that has already experienced so much this year. Gillian Wolfe, Al Jazeera.
Still on the regional scene, the new Chief Election Officer of the Guyana Election Commission, Vishnu Prasad, was sworn into office on Tuesday before the Chief Justice, Madam Roxanne George, and the Chief Magistrate, Anne McLennan. Wendell Badri has the details.
Prasad first took the oath of office as the Commissioner of Registration before the Chief Magistrate at the Georgetown Magistrates Court, after which he was administered the second oath as the Chief Election Officer before the Chief Justice, Madam Roxanne George. His wife, son, and grandson were present for the brief ceremony and expressed their happiness. While speaking on the sidelines with members of the media, Prasad was asked whether the proposed amendment to the Representation of the People Act, which speaks to penalties ranging from 10 years imprisonment to life and fines of up to $10 million for misconduct while in public office, did deter him at any time from accepting the post.
Nobody has to have any worry that about my neutrality or that I may deviate from the path of what is lawful and proper.
Prasad was also asked to respond to allegations that he did not possess the requisite work experience and was not the most suitable candidate to fill the position.
I have accumulated in excess of 10 years experience at managerial level, and maybe sometime because I had planned, I didn't know that this would have been arranged, I had planned to do a detailed release where I would have given explanations to these type of things.
He was also questioned about his intentions towards rectifying issues that have been highlighted in the past with regard to the National Voters List.
Whatever I advocate in terms of registration and list preparation to the Commission would have to be based on what the laws provide for. As it is now, there seems to be some conflict between laws pertaining to the conduct of house-to-house registration and continuous registration. So that is something I would have to look at more in depth before I can advise the Commission.
When questioned about his first order of business upon assuming office, Prasad indicated to media representatives that he has to interface with the personnel from the various departments of the Secretariat to understand what issues are being faced with and then analyze how best to resolve those issues.
Moving now to news on the international scene. The U.S. Coast Guard has suspended its search for a woman who went overboard from a Carnival cruise ship off the coast of Mexico at around 3:30 a.m. on Saturday. Now the FBI is looking into the case. NBC's Gadi Schwartz reports for today.
The Miracle cruise ship sits in port, a floating scene now under investigation. Pictures of broken glass and a bent metal divider on a deck, the only evidence seen publicly after a woman plunged from a stateroom balcony nearly 10 stories into the water below in the middle of the night. The woman still hasn't been identified, but passengers say she was traveling with her boyfriend and a family member. Rattled shipmates say they were told a security camera had captured her fall.
We couldn't believe something happened to her. Sweet young lady, you know, a sweet soul. And she is gone.
The FBI now investigating as to whether this tragic incident was an accident or foul play, releasing little information on what they know.
It's scary. I hope they find out. Did she jump? Was she distraught? Or was she pushed? I want to know what happened. She's too young.
Patricia Taylor says she met the woman on the 3-day cruise from Long Beach to Ensenada, Mexico.
And this young lady's 25 years old with a baby, a 1-year-old child. That baby would never see his mom.
Carnival Cruise says the woman went overboard Saturday night off the coast of Ensenada, and the Coast Guard and Mexican Navy spent 31 hours searching but couldn't find her. Passengers say they saw search boats being lowered after the alarm sounded.
They went out on the balcony and looked and saw immediately they were throwing life preservers out. And probably about 30 minutes later after that, they lowered a life raft.
Experts say overboard incidents aren't as rare as you might think.
In 2018, there were 25 people overboard. In 2019, there were 29 people overboard.
A 2010 law requires cruise ships to mount advanced overboard systems like this one seen here that uses infrared cameras to detect when something falls off the ship, but there's been little to no regulatory enforcement. Carnival Cruises has not said whether such a system was in place, but in a statement said, "Our thoughts are with the guest and her family, and our care team is providing support."
The U.S. state of Kentucky has launched a safety investigation over 8 workers who died after a tornado flattened the factory in Mayfield they were in. Staff members at a candle factory say bosses threatened to fire them if they left work as a tornado approached. But the management denies this. Al Jazeera's Heidi Castro reports.
With Christmas approaching, workers at the Mayfield Consumer Products candle factory were rushing to fill holiday orders despite Friday's ominous skies. 20-year-old Elijah Johnson says he felt nervous when he clocked in for his shift, and worse after a tornado alarm sounded an early warning.
The first alarm came on around 7, going on 8-ish. And we could have been gone. Everybody could have, I guarantee you, it could have been less people that died at that facility than what it was if people would have let them go.
He says he and 14 other workers asked a manager if they could leave.
We went to him and we was like, we need to leave, man. We got kids and stuff at the house. We got to take care of our family. And he was like, well, you can leave, but you're going to be terminated. And we was like, what, even with the weather like this? And he was like, yes, even with the weather like this, you're going to be terminated.
When the second tornado alarm sounded about an hour later, the 110 workers present were directed into a hallway and told to brace. Then, with a roar, everything came crashing down. The walls, the ceiling. Johnson found himself trapped in debris. Then came the screams.
It was a security officer, and he was on my leg, and he was grabbing my leg, and he kept on saying, help me, help me, help me. And I couldn't help him at the time because I was stuck myself. He was touching my leg at first, and then he just stopped.
A female supervisor was pinned with her feet against a collapsed wall. Johnson says she pushed the wall back, allowing him to escape through a narrow opening.
So when I made it out, she was still down there holding up the wall.
Kentucky's governor has pledged to investigate whether the company was negligent in the way that it handled the storms, but he emphasized the state has not verified the workers' allegations. A representative for the candle factory says workers were not pressured to stay.
If we believe that we could do anything differently, in hindsight, of course, I think all of us would do something differently. It's such a gamble to say leave, because the last thing you do, it says don't get in your car. That's what experts say.
More than 100 people remain missing in Kentucky and in surrounding states, and it's feared the death toll will rise. Johnson says after emerging from the collapsed factory, he could think of only one thing.
I started crying because I thought all my friends was dead.
He's still not sure if the woman he credits with saving his life survived. Heidi Castro, Al Jazeera, Mayfield, Kentucky.
And now for the weather. Current conditions are fair skies with a moderate breeze of 15 miles per hour from an easterly direction. The temperature for today is 28 degrees Celsius or 82 degrees Fahrenheit. Seas are moderate with waves of 6 to 8 feet and a small craft advisory remains in effect. The weather forecast in St. Kitts and Nevis for today and tonight will be partly cloudy to sometimes cloudy with a 60% or moderate chance of showers. Sunset today will be at 5:39 p.m., sunrise tomorrow at 6:33 a.m. And that brings us to the end of the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Join us this evening for these stories and more in detail. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Jason Davis.